That's all.
Ready to roll, dog.
Yeah.
Down to business. Meeting to order, everybody can rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Auditor, can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Rivas,
I'm here.
Councilmember Grant,
Present.
Councilmember Jessen,
Here?
Councilmember Larson, Councilmember Paparad,
Here.
Councilmember Singh,
Should I?
Present and accounted for.
and Councilmember Witt.
Here. All right, here we go. Final reading, discussion, reading. So, we get into some housekeeping, some items that we kind of left on the table, and anything else that anybody wants to bring up, but, so, I did add, I asked Vicki, after talking to a few of you guys, asked Vicki to put in raises for the elected officials, except the Board of Commissioners and the County Council. I thought, after talking, it seemed like we were in agreement that, these elected officials are here every day, just like the rest of them, and I think it would be unfair, and some of them work hard, Our auditor, for instance, we probably can't even begin to count the hours that she puts in. To say that she is not worthy of a raise, to me, is just absolutely, ludicrous and wrong. And we give her deputy a raise, and I think she's pretty close anyways. There might be a situation where a deputy makes more than, an elected official.
And just to be clear, Jeremy, when we were talking about excluding the elected officials, it was my mistaken understanding that meant just us and the commissioners.
Okay.
I wasn't thinking the rest, so I think that this clarifies that.
Perfect.
I'm in favor of that.
Okay, perfect. So, if anybody's got an issue with that, speak up or forever hold your peace, we'll move on. I think, if there's one that's not, if maybe they don't deserve it, well, we're not going to hurt the other ones for it, because they deserve it. So.
That's based on the same percentages
Yes.
that was discussed?
Everything. So, all right, so moving on from there, we have the recorder perpetuation. We have that ordinance that we have to do. I think it's the exact same ordinance that was passed from last year. Harold, if you want to jump in, I think it's the same. We did not change anything.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the ordinance as presented.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. Harold, I know you've been working with the recorder on this, and both Chuck and John. Are we okay with the ordinance?
I believe they brought that with them today, assuming everyone is on board with second reading, the budget as put forth and set forth as second reading. I think we're good to go.
We need a vote. We need to vote on it.
Yeah, we need to vote on the ordinance, yeah. So, Chuck, John, is there anything? You've got the ordinance? So, all right, there's a motion on the floor to pass, I think it's ordinance number 20-15-10, regarding the quarter perpetuation fund.
Yep.
Motion and a second to approve it as submitted. Can we get a roll call, Madam Auditor?
Councilmember Grant,
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Paparad,
Yes.
Councilmember Singh,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
We need two readings of this, right? Harold? We need two readings of this.
Yes, you
I make a motion to suspend the rules and have second reading
Second.
tonight.
There's a motion and a second on the floor to suspend the rules, have second reading tonight. Need a roll call on that, yeah. Further discussion? Can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Paparad,
Yes.
Councilmember Singh,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas,
Yes.
and Councilmember Grant.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve on second reading.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the ordinance 20-15-10. A request to pay and identify a portion of recorder's 2020 expenses from perpetuation and recorder affidavit. So there's a motion and second on the floor. Further discussion? Get a roll call, Madam Auditor?
Councilmember Paparad,
Yes.
Councilmember Singh,
Yes.
Councilmember Witt,
Yes.
Councilmember Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
Councilmember Larson.
Abstaining. Hey, buddy.
It was
All right.
good, Jeff.
Just keep going down the road here, that's out of the way. Foundation budget,
Thanks.
as you guys can see on next week's agenda, we have to do an additional for contractual, that is for Cap, Staffer, and Miller, I believe, for the auditing. So, it was suggested that we just create that line item in the foundation budget, because they're gonna be auditing every year, so we need that money in the contractual line item. So, Vicki, did you put that in there? Okay, do we need to vote on that? Is it separate?
You made that adjustment for final reading on this budget, right?
Yes,
So we can just pass it on final reading.
Okay,
and we just added.
okay, perfect. So, if there's any questions on that, that's just, because we have to do that additional, to next week, so we can pay that, so we're just putting there in the contractual line item. All right, the training and ed, that's kind of been an ongoing discussion. So Harold has continued to look at that, and there still seems to be some, it's not so clear on the statute on how far we can go down in using, and that comes from the recorder's fees. So Harold seems to think right now, his reading of it is we can only use that for specific offices. And that only amounts to, Vicki, like $8,000?
$8,085 in the general.
So that fund has like $200-some thousand in it. I think it brings in like $30,000 a year or something. It's kind of ludicrous that we can only spend $8,000 out of it. It's money that it's just going to go to waste. So I've asked Harold after this, and look further into that, with the State Board of Accounts, and see, it's just kind of crazy. And if the answer's the same, maybe it's just something we need to talk to our legislators about, because that money is being set aside by statute, but we can't use it, basically, of what's coming in. So it's just, a fund's going to build, and we're not going to be able to use it at all, hardly. So, yeah, Harold.
Well, no, yeah, Jeremy, I was just gonna chime in, and my read of the statute does seem to limit it to those 5 offices, though there's a provision in the same statute that allows for designees of those elected officials, but I still think the way the statute is written, and it's open to interpretation, so I think we need clarification or guidance, I guess, from the state, that it's limited to those 5 offices. Originally, I wasn't so sure about that, but I spent some time with the statute, and I do think it's, especially in reading the previous version of the statute, the amendment in 2019, that it's limited to those offices. And if there's a different interpretation, I'll get it and bring it to the council, and if we could work with that.
We can address it later. So what we did on second reading, though, is fine, right? We didn't go
Well,
beyond that, did we?
Well, we didn't do anything. We never
So
did anything.
we're fine as it stands, yeah.
So, but I think we can take that out of those 5 offices, and I would suggest that we do that. And Vicki, but it's like $8,000 that would be freed up in the general fund.
Good.
So can we take that, have you identified those line items in the general fund? Can we take that out then?
Yes.
So that
Have you
would,
done that for final reading as well?
It's done.
It's done, okay.
so it's $8,000, but, and Harold, let's just stay in conversation about that, because if we've got to talk to our legislators, we need to do that so we can spend that down and use it for its purpose. So there we go, just save the general fund another $8,000. She just brought up to me, another thing that we kind of left on the table was the reassessment fund. Because of this, along, I think, the same vein, we thought maybe it was more expansive, and we took the reassessment, we took the training money out of the reassessment fund, but now the interpretation that we're going with, we don't believe we can. Is that,
Right, the assessor is not one of those 5.
so we need to put that money back in then?
How much are we talking about there?
Well, this year, the line item was $3,000, and they requested $5,000 in 2021.
So what do you guys want to do with that? We had zeroed that out thinking we could use the fund, we can't.
Put it back,
That'll be back in?
The 5,000,
yeah.
there you go.
Is that what you put in there, Vicki?
They had raised it, so 2020 it was 3,000, they're asking for 5.
So my suggestion is to roll it back to 3 and see how we do. I mean,
Right.
I know they asked for an increase, but
I'm fine with it.
That's second one.
You okay with that?
Yeah?
All right.
just save the taxpayers $2,000.
Hmm.
You're welcome, Justin. You're a taxpayer.
All right.
Hopefully we all are.
Right.
Well, we're good? Okay, so moving right along. Another thing that we left, if you guys remember the sheriff, his cameras, we're talking body cam and car cams, that he paid the first couple of years on, and then he wanted to put it in a general fund, and we put the brakes on that. We have not placed it anywhere. But we did find a fund, the Public Safety and Data Fund from the jail that has about $400,000 to $500,000 in it. And and they don't seem to be spending. I think they budgeted $263,000 for the last 2 years. It seems like they're spending $167,000 out of it.
Put it there.
To me, it sounds like a good place to put it. Now, we did advertise, I think we're limited, we can't use the whole amount in there, right, Vicki?
Correct, we can go up to what was advertised,
What'd you advertise?
which was, $315,840.
So let's,
It was just shy, just over $7,000 from the full,
from the full amount, so what we can,
Put
okay.
the max in, and then we'll just have to roll the 7 somewhere else, right?
Well, I think he can use it in his fund if he's budgeted.
additional next year, too.
I think a transfer,
Right.
he budgeted $263,000 last year, he's only spent $167,000. There's good room in there for a transfer.
Yeah.
So, I think that would be able to cover that cost in that budget, and, so.
Okay. Fair enough.
Cleaning her up. I think that's it in terms of cleaning up things that we've kind of punted down, the road through second reading. Does anybody else think of anything that, in terms of housekeeping? Yeah, so, moving right along, I know there's, some of the things that we punted along, told departments to come back and, have their budgets the same. IT is one that we've been slowly working on. We've spent a lot of money on infrastructure, and they did put some requests in. And one of the requests were to get some of the engineers up in that office, and they did ask for a deputy. I guess that's one office in this county that we do not have a deputy in. So I asked Laura or the commissioners if somebody could come tonight with Eric, and if you guys want to have a little discussion on this, if you guys want to come up, Laura, Eric.
So we'll reopen this budget?
Well, discussion anyways.
So the answer is yes?
Yes.
Well, I
Okay.
didn't really.
No, I just was asking Jeremy a question.
So this, and over the last couple of years, or since I've been here, we look at different departments, and some of them we, reorganize or do things, whether it's planning and building, whether it's been facilities. This one we've kind of been slowly putting together. We spent a lot of money, and I don't have the number the last couple of years over the infrastructure.
300,000 a year for 6 years.
Yeah, it's been a lot, and I think what kind of got our attention recently is we watched LaPorte and Lake County get hacked around us. So, and things have changed, COVID, people working from home, we're in that age, so this seems like a department, I guess at least me personally, was like, maybe we should just take another peek. We've done so good, so, if you guys want to,
You said all the things I was gonna say. Right now, my office is, I've got 4 people working remotely. They have to help set that up. We're gonna be in and out probably all winter. We've invested so much money. We've got a new building. You can talk for yourself, but
Sure.
the hacking is really,
So my suggestion would be, since we've been through second reading on all these budgets, I don't really want to get into reopening them, but I'm open to having a discussion about IT, not on third reading, but I would like to, I wasn't prepared to look at their numbers, I wasn't prepared to look at their, the money we put into it so far, I wasn't prepared to look at all the things that we've talked about over the last couple of years on them, but I am willing to do so from my perspective, so I'm open to, revisiting this. We're all sort of massaging our way through this COVID thing anyway, trying to learn as we go and kind of keep things moving forward. So, you know, I'm open to all of that. I just wasn't prepared to talk about it tonight.
And that's, and I get it, we talked, Dan, obviously, and it, you know, we get into, it's kind of like a back and forth every year. Then we don't address things, and then the department head really thinks maybe it's a necessity. We get into January, February, March, they bring it up, well, why didn't we discuss this in budget session? That's the time to do it, you know, so, you know, whether it's raises or just a new person, and I knew also, too, that we, you know, along with the commissioners, we did put a hiring freeze in place.
That's okay.
But I guess if there's ever a time, if we're going to look at a position, it would be, again, I think, right in budget session, because outside of it, you know, I think that, you know, freeze probably takes, you know, the stronger position. If we're going to look at it, to me, now might be the time, but I agree too, Dan, if we know it's something that we need to look at, if we're not interested in, or if we don't have all the information that we have tonight, then we...
Refresh my memory on your assistant director salary. What were you guys?
Roughly $80,000.
So, and I just opened the sheet up, and in the ITS general fund, he's got it down there. The changes for 2021, what he proposed was a deputy director, new at $80,000. So your office has never had a deputy.
Correct, as far as I know.
No, you haven't.
And so,
It's the backbone of everything every other office does.
I agree. I agree with Laura that, and IT is becoming, in fact, it is one of our most vital parts in government.
And one of the things I'm hoping to accomplish by having an assistant is, you know, I can offload some of the duties of my role and then add in some more security-related duties, because I do have a security background, and I really do want to start, you know, pushing out more security awareness training, more vulnerability management. There's a lot of things that I can see the county needs from a security perspective that we just don't have the bandwidth to do, and I have the knowledge to do those things, but I just don't have the bandwidth at the time.
I mean,
I got to start my opinion with, I don't like computers, but we need him, and he needs an assistant. And I make the motion that we create a position of $80,000 to get him assistant director.
I second it.
all right. There's a motion, a second on the floor to add the deputy director. For, you know, let's continue down discussion. I mean, it's...
The security part is
Right.
probably becoming
But
more
that was
important.
part of what we did before, and I'm not opposed to the idea, but should we call all the elected officials back up and revisit theirs, because we had second reading on everybody? Are we just going to pick and choose? Is that what we're going to do tonight? Matt, if that's the way this board wants to go,
Well, that's where I'm going when I made the motion.
you made it clear. That's what we're going to do, that's fine.
Yeah, one thing that makes sense to me is that we're talking about positions and salaries at budget time, which we say that that's when we're supposed to do it, and then typically we skip over it during the budget review process, similar to what we did here, frankly, you know, where we just glossed over it, disregarded it, came up with our own arbitrary percentage increase for across-the-board wages. So I like the idea that we're talking about it, because that's the way it ought to be handled. I don't disagree that a deputy director would be necessary. But I think it would also, kind of to Dan's point, a more comprehensive look at it might be helpful, because in addition to the deputy director, you also asked for 2 senior systems engineers and 2 help desk technicians, and wanted...
Well, the two, as far as I know, the 2 help desk technicians are already in the budget, and for the 2 senior engineers, we just requested a raise for those.
Yeah, this is only one new.
This is the only new position.
Okay, so my apologies. So I saw them listed at the bottom there. So, but you also had asked for, and probably rightfully so, for a significant increase for your senior network and your senior virtualization person.
Correct.
And we just glossed over that because, you know, we were going to come up with our own thought or idea in terms of what the percentage would be. And so I don't know if that's equally important to the deputy director, or if you also feel compelled for that increase, because if that's part of what you're asking for, then we should address that as well.
Right. The other thing too is, if you're getting another assistant, if that comes true, then this workload for these two won't be as great, I would think. So why would they need the extra money if another person's coming in to share the load?
Well, the two people that have proposed raises on the table have specializations. One's in virtualization, one's in network engineering. The assistant deputy director wouldn't be taking any of those responsibilities away from them. They would be assuming some of my position, some of my duties, and help me with those duties, and then I can take on additional duties related to security. Because a lot of the security funds that have gone into IT have mostly gone into security controls, software, hardware, things like that. But the security overall program hasn't been developed. Policies, techniques, vulnerability management, incident response plans, things like that, we don't have them. So if we're in a ransomware outbreak, we don't have a plan in place right now.
One other question maybe Laura can answer is that department's been tasked with more responsibility here in the last year, even the last 2 years, correct? We've moved quite a bit of obligations. Right. Besides just the security issues I'm talking about, we brought other departments underneath their umbrella.
I think
Haven't all the departments been folded in except one?
Right.
I'm not, listen, guys, I'm not saying that that we don't need to take another look at this department. I'm just saying to walk in on third reading and start adding employees, it just seemed a little odd to me. But if that's the way the board wants to go, I'm happy to field the calls from the other elected officials when we tell them, yeah, sorry, you didn't get another bite at the apple, but we decided to give this one. But if that's the way we want to go, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Well, the other elected officials have deputies, he doesn't.
Every department's different,
Mm-hmm.
Bob, and they all made requests for things.
And not the deputies.
Can I just ask, because I'm, the help desk technician, as I'm looking at this, it's not showing that we had any in 2020. Is that just not
I
accurate?
believe in 2020, they were just called system administrators. If you look at the salaries, they should line up.
You understand?
I'm not seeing,
Do you understand?
I don't have a copy of it.
so that's, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a title change.
But is that salary up, listed above for 2020?
Yes, under system administrator. For the system administrator,
But it's not showing anybody. See what I'm saying?
You're asking for the title change?
yeah, I mean, we definitely have, it's my understanding, we have one person in that role now, and we do have an opening, so we have these two positions currently. I don't know why there's a zero.
Positions are
I think the numbers here might be incorrect. We do have those positions. We have one person, one of them that's filled and one of them is open.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Well, with this 144, we might want to make certain that's correct with Vicki. And Dan, I mean, I hear what you're saying, I absolutely do, and we can, to me, that's why, in my mind, after talking to a few of you, it's, third reading is a process,
Go back
to me, it's not
and-
over, we can go back and open anyone, and we can have a discussion on anyone, or not, or even into next year, I think the process continues, in my mind, this is the big part of the budget, but the process never stops, that's what transfers and additionals are.
True.
So, to me, this one, kind of what happened this year, I guess after the investments we're making and we're going into a new building.
I
Yeah.
really think with the security, that's safety, and I truthfully think that we're in third reading and we can go back and review. I think that's, I really think that they need an assistant in this department. Even if it may not fit protocol, but we need to do it. I think we need to do
Well,
it.
it's not that we can go back at any time. We can go back tonight, so we can go back any.
I just think we've asked all the departments in the past that we continue to address personnel and salary at budget time, and I think this is, if we want that message to continue to be across the board, then we have to address this issue tonight. I don't see how we can keep steering clear of it, and then basically reprimand them every time they come back and ask for additional people. It seems a little difficult to, it's almost like we're trying to box them into a corner where they don't have any option.
Have you had the opportunity to put a job description together and so forth, and?
Yes.
Have you guys seen it? Anybody here?
I have not.
Anybody here
No.
seen the job description you're getting ready
It
to
was put
approve?
together,
I
I
have not.
believe, Don.
That's a
Has
question.
nurse approved it?
Yeah.
And if I did, I might not understand three-quarters of
Yeah.
it. All right, is there any further discussion on this motion and a second?
I would just suggest that in addition to this, and it might take a different presentation to talk about those raises that you specifically asked for people that sound like they're very deserving of it,
Okay.
and maybe bring that up at a separate time so we can have a more thorough, explanation of it and understanding of it.
Sure.
Anybody else?
Nope.
We get a roll call, Madam Auditor? That's correct.
Councilmember Papera,
Yes.
Councilmember Sims,
Yes.
Councilmember Whitten,
Sure.
Councilmember Rivas,
Yes.
Councilmember Grant,
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
and Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
7-0.
So maybe we maybe need some kind of move forward in the next couple months, maybe a little comprehensive overview of what your vision is in
Sure.
that office,
Yeah.
to move forward.
Yeah, I've been evaluating everything, and, I have some ideas, so I'd love to come up with a plan and discuss it with everyone.
I mean, it is an integral part as we grow in technology, leaps and bounds. Surely, it seems like every couple of months, it's crazy, and we've got to protect
Just keep them North Koreans out.
the Russians and the
Joy,
North
if anybody
Koreans.
else calls, just tell them we said that
Chinese.
we were gonna address their department on second reading, we were just kidding. Let them know that.
All
And in
right.
the future, they need to contact
Yeah.
somebody and get.
Unless there's anything else.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Have a good evening.
Is there any other department that anybody wants to discuss? I mean,
I don't, did you tell anybody else to come?
I'm pretty sure everybody's had a
I
schedule
mean,
the whole time.
did you tell anybody else to come?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody knows.
I understand,
the
did you
schedule.
tell anybody else to come? That's what I'm asking.
No.
Okay.
Does everybody
Then
know?
then I guess there's nobody else.
Joy, every department in this building, or any other building in county government, have they had a schedule from first reading to second reading to third reading?
And then we tell them we would be addressing your budget at the second reading.
So,
Did we tell anybody else?
does anybody, other department out here want to discuss anything with the council? Look at Vicki.
I'm just
The
asking if you had
auditor
anybody
knows
else.
begging.
It's fair. I mean, so, I know, listen, you guys were here, and there were other requests, and I can tell you the prosecutor's not going away.
Nope.
At all. There's something that discussion is going to continue on. I'm pretty sure as long as he's elected. So,
If he thought he had a shot at it, he would have been here tonight.
Well,
I guess.
unless somebody told him to come.
I didn't tell him not to come. So, all right, if there's nothing else, I know, if we go into the final reading of the numbers. Vicki, are you ready? Yes. And I know Vicki said there's like a number of 2 or 3 documents that we need to all sign so she can upload her signatures, because I think she wants to upload everything tomorrow. Are you ready for final reading?
We added that person, and we adjusted second first, and made all other changes. If you're ready.
So, pardon me, could we talk about what these, on this sheet, because it's obviously different now than it was when we started?
What have we, yeah, go ahead.
The general fund grand total now is $42,454,565.
Say that one more time.
Yes, $42,454,565. $454,565.
And that's primarily that salary we just added along with insurance and benefits?
And probably a few raises.
Because we added the FICA and PERF, we did not touch the insurance appropriation. That was the person that we just added, it was the reduction of the training and ed, and that was it for general fund.
The addition to that 5,000, or the 3,000 back to the training?
That was in the reassessment.
Okay.
So what did we increase the general fund then?
I'm showing $697,875.
Not bad.
And also on this sheet, there was that change to the reassessment fund. So
$3,000.
548,216.
Anything else?
Nope, thank you.
Whenever you're ready, Madam Auditor.
This is the long list. Did you want to read it?
I thought about it, but you do a great job.
Following are the adopted budgets for 2021. General fund, 42,455,937,237. Reassessment, 548,216, bond number 2, 2,070,518, bond number 3. 1,343,425, local income tax, 6,255,493, police pension, 350. Animal shelter, 112,660. Tourism Bureau, 2,054,624. Highway, 5,735,618. Local roads and streets, 1,605,000. 1,605,000. Human Bridge, 4,311,899. Health, 2,097,796. Civic Center, 608,161. Continuing ed, 30,000. Emergency telephone system, 2,563,592. Jail lease rental, 2,957. Parks, 226,584. Parking garage, 14,500. Plant commission, 857,647. CCD, 2,240,809. County corrections, 149,000. Prosecutor county user fee, 334,488. Health maintenance, 96,710. Foundation budget fund, 4,856,871. LEPC, 18,000. Recorder perpetuation, 341,736. Anabuse, 106,105. GIS, 32,000. Prosecutor trial, 106,368. Juvenile probation user fees, 117,370. Adult probation user fees, 592,76. Surveyor perpetuation, 196,540. Firearms, 85,000. Extradition, 5,000. Hazardous substance, 40,000. Vehicle inspection, 5,000. Accident, 10,000. Domestic violence grants, 180,000. Cable TV franchise, 1,100,000. County 40 incentive, 118,450. Prosecutor staff, 38,610. Memorial Opera House, 521,890. Public safety data tech, 315,840. Jury fee, 70,000. Self-probation free trial, 32,677. Third-party, 91,313. Prosecutory incentive, 207,447. Wildlife management donation funds, 24,200. Photo duplicates, 11,000. Emergency medical, 75,000. Police perpetuation, 95,914. State criminal alien assist, 8,000. Health tobacco trust, 69,410. Circuit court, family court, 10,765. Stormwater management, 3,910,799. Inmate processing, 133,535. Adult probation admin fee, 60,002. Non-probation admin fee, 7,564. Circuit court DSC, 16,148. Sheriff Riverboat, 407,239. Circuit court ADR, 7,726. Hospital interest, 92,218. Juvenile detention code, 85,156. Prosecutor check for 5,000. MOHIAC grant, 9,335. Family user fees, 279,184. Sex and violent offender administration, 23,065. Hospital sale proceeds, medical care for inmates, $23,100. Prosecutor state local grant, $5,000. EA, $125,000. Portage School, $208,232. Virtual pathways agreement, sorry, that was zero. Sheriff Highway Interdiction, $123. Bioterrorism, $176,594. Sheriff overweight, $27,670. Highway overweight, $50,000. Sheriff donation, $54,000. Sheriff adult community corrections, $277,273. Public defender court community corrections, $81,576. Adult probation community corrections, $208,640. Health IIT grant, $122,121. Sheriff videotaping, $10,000. Prosecutor forfeiture, $10,000. Unsafe buildings, $105,000. Highway engineering, $100,000. Ditch fund, $900,000. Animal control, $67,367. Animal shelter, food shelter, $103,671. Highway community crossings fund, Court interpreter, $9,000. EMA district, $31,140. County revenue bond project fund, $1.2 million. And stormwater bond construction fund, $5 million. Airport, special airport general, $1,421,842. Airport cumulative building, $338,555. Special solid waste management, $1,518,063. And non-reverting capital fund solid waste, $73,500. West Porter Fire general, $135,400. And special cumulative fire, $82,900. And that concludes the
You need a motion? I'll motion.
That's how it works.
Second?
A motion and a second on the floor to approve final reading for the 2021 budget. Discussion?
So just to be clear, I've had a couple of questions asked of me over the last week or two. I think there's a little confusion about the tourism budget and the venues. And I've had some folks reach out to me and say, why did you let tourism stop paying money to the venues? And I've responded with, we left the money in the tourism budget, which means we expect the money to be paid. They indicated that they didn't know if they'd have the funds to do so. So we did as much as we could possibly do as a body to ensure the money for the venues. My suggestion would be as we move through next year, whether I'm here or not, this board needs to keep an eye on that and take a look at the revenues from tourism to see if there's an opportunity for them to pay the money over that we budgeted. I hope that clarifies that.
They could pay something,
One would think.
a token, nothing else.
One would think. Which is why I didn't really want us to, I wanted us as a board to be aware that we need to be in a situation to supplant the shortfalls that exists. But I didn't want us to necessarily dive in and hit the general fund for it because we left second reading, for what that's worth these days, with the clear directive that tourism is budgeted to pay the money over to the venue. That's how we left. And that's what we expect.
Didn't we used to get a revenue report years ago when it started?
Vicki?
I thought,
You ever do anything? I mean, theirs is totally outside of our
We
EMS
have a
side.
building fund.
We disperse them from the monthly,
right.
but tracking their budget and their funds, we don't have that.
Well,
So
maybe
we
we,
probably want to have that.
yeah, maybe we should ask for that.
Just kind of get a feel. I mean, there's no question that some of those months, they took it hard. Like
Including
so
their
many,
building fund.
like so many industries did. But as we move through next year, we probably want to keep an eye on that for both sides. We want to be able to make sure that tourism is holding steady, but for purposes of the venues, to make sure that they get the money as it's available,
Or whatever they can.
or whatever they can.
Any further discussion? Get a roll call, final reading?
Councilmember Reavis,
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Larson,
Yes.
Councilmember Papera,
Yes.
Councilmember Sims,
Yes.
and Councilmember Webb.
Yes.
7-0.
So you guys all have the salary ordinance, in front of you. Talking to the auditor, she suggests we approve it next month. She's going to send an email out just to make sure everything is right
Well, we made some changes, so
to the departments, just to make sure there's
it's a little
no...
late, but we did, so we need to have those changes put in there. Go ahead, Jerry.
No, I mean, you can,
Go on, I'm done.
I mean, I've got all night.
So do I.
So,
I'm in that mood.
so she was going to send an email out to all the departments just to make sure there's no errors in there, and then we'll approve this next month, if that's okay. So, Joy, if you can remember to put this on the...
November meeting?
November meeting?
Sure.
Mhm. So, everybody's got a copy. So I think that's it. We meet next week here, 5:30 for a regular meeting. Anything else before we adjourn the 2021 budget session?
You need a motion to adjourn?
That would be great.
I'll make it.
Motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great. You guys